Well, it looks like the Nintendo Switch 2 rumors are just not stopping, as we've got a potential update here regarding Nintendo's next generation system and potentially some information about what could be happening behind the scenes. So this is pretty interesting and I love talking about stuff like this, so I do want to go through it and give you guys my thoughts. Now, the first thing that we have here is actually from an interview with the Ubisoft CEO, where if we take a look at this article, it says right here, Ubisoft may have just hinted that the Nintendo Switch 2 is real. So if we take a look right down here in the article, it says Ubisoft may have just dropped a big hint that the Nintendo Switch 2 is real and set to release in the near future while discussing the sluggish sales of Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. So Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope came out last year as the sequel to Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, which was the game that came out in the Nintendo Switch's launch year, and that was like a really interesting crossover with Mario and Rabbids, and a lot of people did actually seem to like that game. I haven't gotten the chance to play it, but I have heard good things about it, so I guess with the sequel they were just expecting more sales and more interest, but they actually didn't do as well as Ubisoft had hoped. And it seemed like the Ubisoft CEO, I'm probably going to say his name wrong here, Uves Guillemot, it seems like he was having an interview here where they were discussing this. And it's interesting because it says right here that it indicated that Nintendo had advised the French publisher to wait to release the sequel to 2017's Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle until the Nintendo Switch 2 successor was available. This was advice that Ubisoft ultimately ignored, as Sparks of Hope launched in December 2022 to strong reviews but lackluster sales. So Ubisoft confirmed earlier this year that Sparks of Hope had not achieved the financial success that the company had expected, and Guillemot offered an interesting explanation for its underwhelming launch. While the rising cost of living in many households was mooted as a potential factor, Guillemot suggests that the game was actually released too early, which hurt the sale potential the most. And this is the quote right here, where it says, "We had already released a Mario plus Rabbids game on the Switch, so by doing another we had two similar experiences on one machine. On Nintendo, games like this never die. There are 25 Mario games on Switch. Nintendo has advised that it's better to do one iteration on each machine. We were a bit too early, we should have waited for the next console." So this is really interesting because the cool thing about all of this, like the really interesting thing, is that it says here, Nintendo has advised that it's better to do one iteration on each machine. So the thing about this that's so interesting is that while they were developing Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, Nintendo still advised them that you should probably wait till their next system and to try to have like one Mario plus Rabbids game on each system. But the thing is, if you think about this, why would Nintendo say this if the next system isn't going to be sometime soon, right? Like, here's the thing. If the next Nintendo system was going to come out in like 2025 or 2026, like what some people think, then why would Nintendo advise them to just hold off on the sequel for like 3 or 4 years until the system comes out? It seems to me like it's possible that maybe their next system could just be around the corner, where like a lot of people are saying it's rumored to come out sometime next year. And if that's the case, then, just holding off on a game for 1 to 2 years isn't that bad. And maybe that's why Nintendo would have advised, like, wait a little bit, we've got a new system coming out. And I think, having that game come out on a brand new system would be much better for it. But it seems like Ubisoft didn't take their advice and just still decided to release it on the current Nintendo Switch. Now, there was also another interesting thing that the Ubisoft CEO mentioned as a follow-up to this, where he says right here, "Because you could play a great game, and we think it will last for 10 years because we will update it for the new machine that will come in the future." And this is still referring to Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, so he basically admitted we will update it for the new machine that will come in the future, implying that this game is probably going to get some type of next generation patch or something whenever the next system comes out, like how many PlayStation 4 games had like a software update when you could play them on the PlayStation 5 and it had like better graphics and frame rate and performance and things like that. So this is basically saying that Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope is probably going to be getting some type of patch like this with like an update that's going to come for the next system too. So there you go. That's basically kind of like an indicator that maybe some types of games like this are going to get updated for the next system. And I really hope that Nintendo decides to do this with their first party games as well, because games like, Tears of the Kingdom and Xenoblade and stuff, having an updated version of that on the next system would just be amazing. Now here's where we get into the interesting stuff, as it seems like the Nintendo Switch 2 may be just as powerful as the PS4 and the Xbox One, and this is coming from an Activision Blizzard executive, where we don't have like a ton of concrete information here, but this is basically from a discussion that happened in terms of like an email that they sent to Nintendo in regards to games and things. And if we take a look at the article right here, It says Nintendo Switch 2 could be on the same level as Xbox One and PS4. Interestingly enough, the information this time around wasn't shared by some tipster or an anonymous source, rather the details come from Activision Blizzard's CFO, Armin Zerza. To elaborate, the executive in an email sent to Nintendo stated that Activision can make something compelling for NG next generation Switch as well. Apparently, the development plans for the new titles for the upcoming Switch 2 model is thanks to the handheld console being closer in performance to Gen 8 platforms. So this is really interesting because this isn't like proof or anything. This isn't like confirmed information from him that the system is going to be on the same level, but it seems like it's basically from what he's kind of heard and what he's basically looking at from how Nintendo handles their next generation systems, and it seems like it's going to be closer to the performance of Gen 8 platforms like the PS4 and the Xbox One, which honestly makes a lot of sense. If you're expecting like the next Nintendo system to be on the same level as like the PS5 or the Xbox Series X, it's just not going to be possible to fit that in like a little tablet-like system like this with the Nintendo Switch. But I think even if they can get it to Generation 8 performance, that's still really, really good because the PS4 and Xbox One were pretty powerful systems. And the interesting thing about this that I also want to hear your guys' thoughts on is the thing about this generation is that you can basically put it on a spectrum, right? So if I have this spectrum right here, on the very kind of low end here, we would have the very base versions of the systems that came out, like the base PlayStation 4 and the base Xbox One. However, later into this generation, we also got upgrades that came out for both of these systems at the higher end, where we had the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X. And both of these were decently more powerful than the base versions of the systems that came out, so they still can qualify as 8th generation because it's not the PS5 or the Xbox Series X. So the thing about this is that we don't know exactly where the Nintendo Switch 2 could fall into the spectrum, right? So it could be somewhere in the lower end right here, where it's going to be more like the base PS4 and the base Xbox One. Maybe it's going to be more into the higher end here, where it's going to be more like the PS4 Pro or the Xbox One X, or maybe it's going to be somewhere in the middle as well, where it could be kind of like a mix with like the hybrid in terms of performance. So I want to hear your guys' thoughts on where you guys think would be the perfect spot if it is going to be having Gen 8 performance. Honestly, for me, I think anywhere in the middle or to the higher end would be the perfect sweet spot for how powerful the next Nintendo Switch could be, or like the next Nintendo system. Because if it's at that level, then pretty much think about all of the games that ran on the PS4. You had games like Final Fantasy VII Remake, Spider-Man, God of War, Red Dead Redemption 2. All of these really good looking games ran really well on the PS4, and those would be the same types of games that you would be able to run on this next Nintendo system. Because if it's going to be the same level, and if it's just as easy to develop as, you know, having like Unreal Engine and all of that type of stuff work right like how it does with the Switch, then it'll be very easy for a lot of developers to bring over their games that are releasing now on like the PS5 and brand new, like, you know, the next generation games, and still be able to easily bring those over for the Nintendo version and having them on the Switch. So I really do hope that it does have a pretty good level of performance, and I think having it be somewhere around this level does make a lot of sense. And then adding even more rumors, apparently people are saying that if you go on Nintendo's developer portal, which is basically like a website that any developer can go to who's registered to have dev kits, apparently now on the developer website, there's now an option that says NX2. So a lot of people are going really crazy over this, like, oh my god, they're putting Switch 2 dev kits now and stuff too. But the thing about this is that we don't have any confirmed proof. Like, apparently this is coming from just somebody who claims to be a developer saying that this is an option now on the website, but I haven't seen any proof of somebody like actually going to the website and clicking on it and seeing what happens. So obviously it could be possible that this is just like photoshopped and made for people to get excited, but at the same time, I don't know, I feel like NX2 is such a weird thing to do, because the thing about Nintendo NX is, of course, that was the code name of the Nintendo Switch. So the thing about just calling the next system the NX2 just seems not really that believable, because even the Wii U wasn't really just like codenamed like whatever the code name for the Wii was. I think it was Revolution. It wasn't just codenamed Revolution 2. I think the Wii U's codename was actually like Project Cafe or something. So the thing about this that's kind of just unbelievable, or not really like easy to believe, is that they would just codename the next system NX2 and just be like, oh, it's the NX again, but here's the NX2. I'd imagine the codename for the next system is probably something different. So I don't know for sure, but yeah, it is something that I've seen a lot of people talking about. and it seems like there's just more rumors now about these dev kits, as even Stealth here on Twitter was saying there is a rumor going around on various sites today that a studio in Spain, probably Mercury Steam, has a Switch successor dev kit. I suppose time will tell how true this is. So yeah, I mean, Mercury Steam of course helped with Metroid Dread, and Nintendo has worked closely with them, so it wouldn't surprise me if they do have a next generation dev kit and they're already working on games for the next Nintendo system as well. I'm sure Nintendo has given it to them, but the thing is we won't know for sure because I'm sure they've had to sign like a contract or an NDA that says that they can't talk about this or they can't mention that they have a next gen Switch dev kit or anything like that, so we just won't know for sure. But it does seem to be something that I've seen a lot of people talking about. And the thing about this that's interesting is that they actually did something like this with the Nintendo Switch before it was revealed as well. So if we go back here all the way to September of 2016, it says right here, Nintendo's developer portal updated and is gearing up for an NX reveal. So this exact same thing happened here, where there was an update that was added to the Nintendo developer portal for like a new dev kit or something, and this happened in September of 2016, and a month later we actually got the reveal for the Nintendo NX. I don't think that we're going to be seeing a reveal for the Switch 2 like next month or anytime soon. In fact, I don't think we're going to be seeing it this year at all in terms of the reveal, because Nintendo still has games coming out this year like the Super Mario RPG remake and Mario Wonder and things like that. So if they did show a Switch 2, nobody would really care about those games anymore, because they would just be like, oh, I gotta save my money now for this next system. So it would be really dumb for them to show the next Nintendo system before these games come out. So I'm not expecting to see the next Nintendo system announcement or reveal or anything like that this year at all. I think we're probably going to see it sometime during like spring next year or summer or something. But yeah, at the very least, it is just very interesting that apparently it seems like these types of things are happening now behind the scenes, and it is very possible that a lot of developers may have already had their hands on a Switch 2 dev kit and are already working on games for the system. And so yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, definitely be sure to click that like button and also subscribe to the channel, as well as I'm going to be talking more about the Nintendo Switch 2 as we get some more information. But also comment down below and let me know what you guys think about this. Do you guys think that Nintendo is actually sending out the Switch 2 dev kits? When do you think that the system could be coming out? Definitely be sure to comment down below and let me know. Go follow me on Twitter at Aero so you can be featured in videos, and also join my Discord server as well. We've got a bunch of people in there who are always talking about Pokemon and Smash Bros and Nintendo, so definitely be sure to join that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching.